What's up, adventurers? It's time for another What's in the Shop. Number 26 today, guys. Back after my hiatus. Got a lot of stuff done. Took some time to address some things I had to do in my personal life. Nothing serious, just got to get a lot of stuff sorted out for the summer. Of course, this June looks vastly different than last June, so I've been spending a lot more time outside with my son and wife, doing a lot of cool stuff, so kind of limits my abilities to get down here and do cool videos for you guys, but I did manage to do some stuff, and today I got a lot to cover with you guys. I got a whole table full of items here. So without further ado, we'll pause the video and we'll start working through this mess. All right, guys, so thank you to everybody who watched The Footsteps of Giants. It's done really, really well. I actually was shocked I didn't get any dislikes yet, but I got a lot of positive feedback on it, and I really appreciate that from all you guys. I got some questions from people in emails and comments asking me about the mummy that I used. This is basically a Halloween prop. I bought it at TJ Maxx about 10 years ago or so on clearance for about $20. And I've had it for years. I use it in my Halloween displays. And I've had visions of using it in a G.I. Joe photo story, but it just kind of worked out for me on this photo story in particular. I was able to incorporate it. My original plan for this was I have this giant vault under my porch, and I was going to climb under there and do like a tomb scene, but the lighting would be really difficult under there, and I just wasn't interested in trying to make that work at this point in time, so I incorporated it into this giant storyline. So this is just a basic polystone Halloween prop wrapped in gauze and painted. It's pretty cool. I think you can still find stuff similar to this, so toy with it. Steve Gilmore, if you're out there, you might look for one of these over in the UK and make one of your super dope pictures with something like this. But that's what the mummy is. It's just a Halloween prop. I've covered the head in my Halloween What's in the Shop last year. This is from Pete Infantelli's Devil's Workshop. It's a Don Post Studios shrunken head reproduction. I've taken several pictures of this. I do a Halloween picture every year with it. This is a super cool prop. I've also wanted to incorporate this into a G.I. Joe photo storyline, and luckily I was able to use it for this one, and I think it worked out really well. You can see I just display it on a yogurt cup. It's a really cool latex mask. You could go back and look at my What's in the Shop. I can't remember what episode it was. It was a Halloween episode from last year. But it works out really well as a giant head that's been severed and stitched and had all sorts of wacky, terrible things done to it. So I really enjoyed the reveal of this on the altar with the slime. And this is probably the last time I ever used this in a photo story for G.I. Joe, because I've already used it along with the mummy. But you never know. I might figure out a way to reincorporate it. I also had some questions about the gung-ho grip hands. Now, hold on one second here. We'll keep focused on this guy. These gung-ho grip hands. Now, I did a tutorial on how to do these and retrofit them to a G.I. Joe body. So for you guys out there asking me questions on that, I'll post a link in the description to this tutorial as well. But these are just what I used. I used Classic Collection gung-ho grip hands retrofitted with vintage pegs. Works really well. I've actually taken the time to do some World Peacekeeper hands. So these are what the World Peacekeeper hands look like when you pop them out of the sockets. I actually retrofitted a Cotswold peg into this hand. Still working on this one here. And I also took some of these aftermarket hands as well that fit into the Hot Toys style sockets. And I retrofitted a focus in there a little better. I retrofitted a pretty cool peg on that. So this guy here, it's a vintage muscle body air venture head on a Cotswold body that has those hands. And you can see here, pull one out, just a Cotswold hand. I screwed and mill putted them into the hand. So it's basically the same principle as these hands, along with these. I might do a tutorial on these at some point in time, but I think anybody with basic common sense can figure out how to do something like this. But that's what the hands were for. And for you guys who aren't familiar with my channel or haven't watched a lot of my older how-tos, I do have one to do these gung-ho grip hands. And this principle that I used here applies to a lot of different types of hands. Not just the gung-ho grip hands. You can use different styles of hands. You just got to figure out a way to retrofit the pegs to them. So, pretty basic principle. Okay, so I recently acquired some new figures. First is this NECA Phantom figure from their Defenders of the Earth line. This is a reproduction of a Galoob toy line from the 80s. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with that cartoon and subsequent action figure line. And you all probably are familiar with the Phantom, super cool characters. But I have a review of this guy coming soon. And I think it's a pretty good review, actually. I think you'll enjoy it. But I'll just save my thoughts on this figure for the review. But anyways, I got this figure. They're hard to find. I unfortunately didn't find him in the wild. I had to buy him off a scalper. I feel like I hoard myself out, but it is what it is, man. And I also finally splurged and bought myself a Masters of the Universe Classics He-Man figure. This cost a little bit of money too. I should have bought these when they first came out, but it just really wasn't on my radar at the time. The only reason I got him is, of course, I've talked several times on these videos about how I'm a completist and almost maybe addictive when it comes to certain things like this. And since I had the Lion-O and the Conan Super 7 Ultimates figure, I kind of wanted to get this He-Man and kind of make a super team of badass warriors. So I found it for a pretty decent price, actually. The prices of these have came down. They fluctuate from time to time, but I did a lot of searching and found this figure and bought him. So he's on my desk at work, or will be on my desk at work next to my Lion-O, my Conan figure, but it's a great figure. You could look up several reviews of these on YouTube. I'm sure there's a ton of them. It's a few years old, so it's not like this is a new figure. It's used, of course. But I really enjoy this figure. I love He-Man. He-Man's from back in my day, and it's one of my favorite toy lines. Probably not quite on the same par as G.I. Joe, but he's right up there with G.I. Joe. Completely different toy line, though, you know. But yeah, I got these two guys. Be looking for the Phantom review coming up as well. So a couple new figures added to my collection. Okay, so along the custom front, got some projects I've been finishing and going to finish. Here's a sneak peek at my custom Bullet Man figure. I won't say much about him because I have a really cool video coming on him, but this guy is turning out way better than what I had ever hoped. So be on the lookout for that in the next few weeks. I'm still waiting on some parts from Cotswold Collectibles to finish him, but I've got this cool Bullet Man project and video coming for you guys. Next up, if you saw my last What's in the Shop, you remember my Action Man dive tank that I was restoring. Well, it's finished. Unfortunately, I don't have any of the Action Man corrugated hoses, but I said that so weird, corrugated hoses, but I just made do with some vintage orange hoses, and I cast a brand new rebreather, and of course I made the metal J-valve lever that goes in here. It's not really going in very well, but anyway, this is finished. I cast the bracket or the tab piece here that locks it into the harness. So I got another Action Man dive tank, which is really cool. I love these. Like I said, I think they're far superior to anything Hasbro ever did, and I'm enjoying having another one in my collection. I'll have to create a scuba suit for it. In the same vein, I finally finished up my custom single tank dive tanks. They're inspired by the Action Man dive tank as well, so they're done. I added the gauge on the side. These are finished. I added this piece of small tubular elastic to the rebreather to hold it on the head of the figure because I'm using this paracord tubing, which isn't really that rigid, so it doesn't really sit up under the mask like the vintage rubber hoses do. So I did this one here, and it has a cool sea sled that comes with it. So this will be a set. It'll come with this, and I'm finishing up a dive mask for it, and I'll have a set of trunks with it, and I'll probably sell that. I also made a blue dive tank. Of course, both of them have my custom decals. Same vein as the green one, just a little different. I thought about doing a tutorial on how I make these, but maybe I will at some point in time. I'm kind of all out of cell phone clip or cordless phone clips, which is what these harnesses are. So you can see if you do a comparison between the single tank Action Man and this one, they're a little bit similar. Oh, by the way, on this Action Man one, I still have to get a tube and do the depth gauge. I actually made depth gauges for these like I did on that one Action Man tank I did the video on, and I actually took epoxy resin and did the lenses on them like I do my fuel gauges on my cans, so that's cool. But I'll probably sell both of these with some dive tanks and some dive trunks and some extras at some point in time. I also finished up finally my own sea sled. I decaled the front of it, the one I used the Buzz Lightyear wings on. It's turned out really well, actually. I'm gonna use this with a 6-scale USA dive set that I made. I bought a wetsuit from them, and then I kind of created my own tanks, and I'm gonna incorporate this mask into the set as well, but it's going to be my own personal set. I'll try to do maybe a photo story or a photo shoot with that. I'm also revamping my Coils of Doom figure, so I've been going through a lot of old junk parts, and I'm going to kind of revamp him. After I did that second Coils of Doom figure, I figured I could do a better job on my own, the first one I made, so he's getting a major revamp here this summer, and be looking for him in some kind of photo story as well. And I've also decided to do a set of Mars foot soldiers. So I have all these old knockoff G.I. Joe Fritz style helmets. I've painted them yellow, and I have a really cool idea for a Mars foot soldier, just a basic nameless, faceless goon. So that's something I'm going to start working on rather soon. But I just want to show you, I'm painting the helmets right now. I'm going to do some other work to those, but it's going to be kind of like a Cobra Trooper, but it's going to be in the Mars style of figure. So that's kind of the customs I have going on right now. Okay, so if you saw my Footsteps of Giants, you'll notice that there's a weird sound in there every so often. It's actually an Aztec death whistle. I pulled the sound off the internet and incorporated it into my story. It has a really cool horror effect, and I think this is really, really cool. I bought a 3D printed one off of eBay just to have. This isn't the one I used in the story, obviously. Like I just said, I sampled it off the internet, but this, if you haven't never heard of these or seen them, you can look the 3D printed ones up on YouTube. There's several people that make them. It's a really gnarly sound. I like to go outside at night and just blast this thing when it gets really dark. Kind of freaks everybody out around. I got some neighbors that are a little bit problematic, and I think hopefully it freaks them out. But anyways, this is a cool thing. These are really, really neat. They're worth looking into if you just like messing around with stuff. These Aztec death whistles, they're only like $8 a piece, and they make a super gnarly sound. Now I would blow it right now for you, but my son's taking a nap, so that wouldn't be too good for me. So anyway, Aztec Death Whistle, very cool. Okay, I made a recent trip to Hobby Lobby to grab some paracord to finish up some of my fuel drums, and I came across some really, really cool items that I decided to buy because I knew I could use them. First up is this awesome Pirate's treasure chest. I think I got it, it was like 50% off on everything, so of course I got this baby 50% off, but this is a super dope treasure chest. Just G.I. Joe scale, obviously. Very well detailed. It's polystone or polymer. I guess I call these polystone plastics because if you drop these things will crack. So it is kind of like a polystone. Very well detailed. Cool lock on the front. Just a great treasure chest for your G.I. Joe deep sea diver sets. You can just fill it with all sorts of cool stuff. So I got this thing. And on the same shelf, I found this really cool box. Now, it's cool as itself, I guess. But I plan on taking this thing and painting it and decaling it and making it one of my new aqua chests for my own dive gear. These retailed for $12.99, so I got this 50% off as well. You go to Hobby Lobby, you can find these. I think these are great for dive gear, wetsuits or whatnot, and I'll probably do a tutorial on how I go ahead and convert this to a dive box. That'll be a video I'll probably do coming up soon. So these are really, really cool. If you go to Hobby Lobby, you can find both of these, I'm sure. They're in like a little pagoda in one of the aisles that has all the like sea stuff, nautical stuff. So they do have this other really cool thing. It's a spyglass box, and it's a small wooden box with a really cool glass top, but you have to buy the spyglass, and it's like $80. But the box itself will be super cool, especially for like an Action Man style storage box, because you know some of the Action Man sea stuff's really cool. But anyways, I got these two at Hobby Lobby, 50% off. And I also picked up this robotic octopus. Now, I saw this thing. This is the last one they had. It was 20% off. I instantly thought Johnny Quest, robot villain, blah, 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 blah. So this is a cool, it's like a model kit. Let's see if we can open it. I tore the box when I was opening it. Anyways, it's like a model kit that you have to put together, which is great for me because I have some really good ideas on how I'm going to do this. I'm going to make a really cool robot villain out of this thing and probably incorporate it into a storyline that I'm writing right now, one of my fall storylines. So if you're out at Hobby Lobby and you see this stuff, pick it up. I think you can really make some cool stuff with it. Okay, a few years back, I downloaded this paper box off of Facebook. Randall Wall shared it. And if you guys aren't familiar with Randall, Randall creates all the really cool paper diorama items that Cotswold carries. Art Lab, I think it's Art Lab's the name of it. But this was something he shared a long time ago, and I just got around to printing it on some cardstock and making it. It's pretty cool. I'll probably incorporate this into a diorama at some point in time, print off a few of them. Randall recently suffered a heart attack. I saw that via his Facebook page. So, you know, thoughts go out to you, Randall. I don't know if you watch my page or not, or my channel, but hope you get better, buddy. You do some really cool stuff, and I do plan on buying some of those paper dioramas for a really cool project that I have down the road. I just gotta figure out how I'm gonna do it and figure out how many of the different props I need for it. But this is just a cool thing. I'm sure if you're friends with Randall on Facebook, I think this is probably still on his Facebook page among some other free stuff he gave you. But this is just cool. I finally got around to doing one, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. Okay, next up, a couple vintage toys from my personal vault. You guys have probably heard me mention a time or two my superpowers Batmobile. Well, if you follow my Toys and Brews Instagram page, you'll notice that I finally got this out to do a nice little photo with a beer. And this is my Superpowers Batmobile. I've had this ever since I was a kid. I got this for my birthday. And I had several different Superpowers figures growing up. But this is the only items I have left. The majority of them I think I gave to my nephew Jake when he was little, and who knows what happened to him. He probably played with them. He loves superheroes, still does. But this is all I have left, my Batmobile, and this is one of my most cherished items. I really wish I had my Mego Batmobile, but I don't. I just have my Superpowers one. Still works. Headlights still function, and I believe the battering ram still works. And the portion, let's do that again so we can get that on camera. The portion that catches the villains still work. It's a little dusty, a little dingy, but I brought this down out of the archives to share with everybody. My Batman's still in pretty good shape. He still can do his punch, albeit not too great, but yeah, man. This is one of my cooler things I still have from my childhood. Just a great figure, a great line of toys. Never got the justice it deserved. I also have my GoBots Power Suit Power Warrior. If you guys are familiar with GoBots, Tonka made them, but I've probably talked before about my Voltron figure and the debacle of Voltron, real brief. Back when Voltron came out, would have been my 4th grade year in school. My dad told me if I got straight A's, 4th quarter, he would get me a Voltron 5 Lions. But he made the promise, well, my mom and dad made the promise to me without knowing what a Voltron cost at the time. This was like 84-ish, so it was pretty expensive. It was almost like $100, I think, for all 5 Lions together, maybe a little less. But needless to say, I took him up on his offer. I got straight A's. Went to go buy this Voltron at the local Walgreens, and he saw the price, and I only got the Black Lion. So I've been obsessed with Voltron ever since then. But anyway, my parents felt bad, so they not knowing much about robots, they got me this robot here in its place later on, I believe, for Christmas that year. Wasn't as cool as Voltron. I always held on to it because, you know, it was cool that my mom and dad did get this for me. I used to have a lot of GoBots, but since then I think they've all been sold, but I have this guy complete. So he transforms, obviously. I won't take him apart. I brought him down out of my attic as well for a cool Toys and Brews photo op. But you can still find these on eBay. They're super cool, though. I mean, I think this is one of those toys where at the time I probably thought it was lame because it wasn't Voltron. But this guy has got really a lot cooler with age. They made 2 different ones, a villain one and this one. So this is my GoBots Power Warrior Power Suit. Pretty cool. Okay, so if you've watched a lot of my What's in the Shops in the past, you know that I have this Shogun Warriors Godzilla that I've been wanting to restore for a long time. Well, Derek from Shogun Plastics got me the items that I needed, and this is going to happen. So I'm working out the schedule for when I want to do this restoration video. It won't be a long one, but I have all the parts to restore my Godzilla. So I'm really excited about this. This is one of the things I've wanted to do for a while on video. I think it'll be a fun video to do, but I know a lot of you guys out there have been wondering what's going on with Godzilla, or maybe you haven't, but Godzilla is going to happen. So be patient. Probably the next month or 2, you'll get this video. But I'm just so excited to do this, and I'm actually really excited to add this to my Shogun Warriors collection that I never planned on having. It's usually how a lot of my collections start. I never plan on having it, and it just happens. That's kind of how we had a kid. Okay, well, next, that last part about that's how we had a kid. We actually did plan on having a kid, but I thought that was a good joke. Anyways, so my last What's in the Shop, I was talking about a lot of the projects I've been working on. Well, over this hiatus, I've been trying to finish up all these items to sell. I still haven't worked out the way I'm going to sell these yet, but I have finished everything, and I wanted to share everything with you guys because I have a lot more than what I had last time. So the map table bases are finished. I've got several different variations. I've got the camouflage paper wrapped ones that have the drafting drawers on the side and the cool Adventure Team logo. I have the ones that I've made in the past, which just basically use a paper wrapped deco of the Adventure Team headquarters. This is a real basic one. This has no writing or anything on it. Just a real simple layman's map table base. And here is another of the camouflage ones that has the drafting drawers and the G.I. Joe logo. And then I also added G.I. Joe Adventure Team headquarters map table to this one. I do these all randomly. Like, I just make random stuff. And I think if you used to follow my Skunkworks Facebook page, I always put on their artist. I'm not a manufacturer, I'm an artist. I consider myself to be an artist. These are all one-of-a-kind pieces. Nothing's really ever the same. So, you know, if things don't look the same, that's just the way it is. I did some more of the Adventure Team headquarters decos, but I added a cool G.I. Joe logo to it, and I added headquarters map table to this one. And I put the Adventure Team logo on it as well. So it's a little more spiffier than this one. This one here, I think, is the basic one as well. Just like this one right here. So there's what I call two base models. And then I have another regular camouflage wrapped one which has the map table font on it with an Adventure Team decal. Now, I did a standard old school map table base like I used to do, which just painted map table and the G.I. Joe Man of Action logo on this one. I've never done one with the Man of Action logo. So I have all these map table bases ready to go. They're coming. Like I said, I'm not sure when, but I have all my map table bases done and ready to go. So there's that. Okay, so if you guys saw my video on the Sasquatch set that I made several years back, it was fun to do. I had some extra fuel cans and an extra box, so I decided to create this cool G.I. Joe Adventure Team Cryptozoological Division Sasquatch unit box. It's a really cool box. Slide top, braided handles, Adventure Team logo on the side, nice painted bright color. I also made this really awesome fuel can as well. And I did this oil can, heavy duty motor oil can too. So they all have the Sasquatch hunting logo on them. Now the oil can and the fuel drum, I did a video on how I made these. So there's a tutorial on how to make my fuel drums coming as well. It's done. We'll post it here in a week or two. But this is a set I'm going to sell all together. I would really like to do a Sasquatch figure with it, but it's, like I said, it's hard to find time. So, I mean, for you guys out there who already have your Sasquatches and would like to have a cool Sasquatch set. Man, it's hard to say stuff today. Sasquatch set. Maybe this is in your wheelhouse. Like the map table bases, I'm not sure how I'm going to sell these yet. I don't know. Still going back and forth on what I want to do. So, this is really cool though. I enjoyed making this. This is one of the better things I've made. And it turned out really, really well. Better than what I expected. Okay, staying with the storage boxes. Last What's in the Shop, you saw I had just a table full of unpainted stuff. So here we go. I took this old cigar box and made this cool G.I. Joe Adventure Team aqua chest. Holds all your Adventure Team equipment. For scuba diving, I actually added a the vintage deep sea diving map and a map of Atlantis. So this will hold your scuba gear. It might hold a deep sea diving gear, but I actually put the scuba diver face on there because I intended it for scuba gear. So this is another cool box that I've made. I made this basic weapons crate, which I probably showed in the last Watch in the Shop, but I'll show it again. Just a cool storage crate for weapons or gear or whatever. Has the Man of Action logo on it. Again, like the map table base, I haven't done the Man of Action logo on anything, so there's that. I created this cool G.I. Joe Adventure Team equipment chest, very similar to the Sasquatch chest. The slide out lid, just use basic paracord handles. Nice decaling on the back. I have a Safari Joe, the Safari Hat Joe figure or image on the back. Sorry about that. That's cool. Same thing here on this deep sea diver chest. I have this on the back. I try to add like a little special something on the backs of them. And then I finished up this one. This is also a Man of Action logo. This is another equipment chest, but I put a little collage on the inside. So these are all made out of cigar boxes. Cool wooden cigar boxes. There's a local cigar shop close to where I live that has just a ton of wooden boxes. So they sell them for like $1 a piece. So I can find really cool boxes and I can decal them up, and then they make really good G.I. Joe storage boxes. I noticed recently that Toy Polloy took a wine box and created an action figure storage box. He did a really cool video on it, and it's kind of similar to the stuff that I do. I just try to repurpose things for collectors. It's a nice one-of-a-kind. These are nice one-of-a-kind items. Again, like everything else, I'll be selling these as well. Not sure how, but you know, yada yada yada. I hate to keep saying that over and over again, but I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, so I got these individual heavy-duty motor oil cans. These are all finished. Very similar, just all different colors. All have the Bearded G.I. Joe logo on them. These will be sold with a fuel can, so it'll be a 2-pack. These are finished up. These are pretty easy to make. These are fun to make too. I'm glad that I figured out a way to use these. Like I mentioned with the Sasquatch set, I show how I make these as well in that video, so be on the lookout for it. Okay, so my one-of-a-kind fuel cells. There's only 4 of them. These will be absolutely, unequivocally the last ones of these that I ever make. Like I mentioned in previous videos, I only had so many of these canisters. So these are ready to go. I finally put the handles on the top of them, sealed them up, got them all done. And these will be ready to go along with everything else when I figure it all out. But these will be the last 4 that I ever make. So if you're interested in a fuel cell, once I get all the details how I'm going to do this lined out, pick one up if you like them. These go pretty fast. They always did on eBay. It's a neat little unique item to have. It's not as big as a fuel drum, doesn't take up as much space, and it's just kind of a cool little item. So yeah, the fuel cells, these are the last 4 I'm ever going to make. So they're done. Kind of brings a little bit of a tear to my eye because I'm not going to be able to ever make these again. But, you know, just the way things work out sometimes. Okay, my tall boy fuel drums. These are finished up as well. I finally got them sealed, filled with foam. Got the lenses all done on them. These are cool too. I enjoy making these. They're a little different than the fuel drums in the fact that these are paper canisters with metal lids, but they're really cool. I've made several cans out of these, and everybody seems to give me really positive feedback and enjoy these as well. They're a little bit bigger than a standard fuel drum, so they stand a little taller, but I like these as well. I had several of these canisters, and I'm glad that I figured out a way to incorporate them into my fuel drum line. So these are finished up, ready to go. Okay, my basic fuel drums. The fuel drums that I started out making back in the day. These are the last 5 I've done. You saw some of them last What's in the Shop, but I've since made this cool capture copter one and added the new style G.I. Joe logo to it. This is super cool. I enjoyed making this one. It was like out of the blue. I just had this can, somebody gave it to me. So I decided to make a capture copter can to go with the rest of these. So these are all finished up as well. And I also have, when you watch my fuel drum tutorial, I'll talk about some paint problems. Well, this can here had a bad paint reaction when I decided to originally do it. So the paint curdled on me. So I let it dry, fixed it a little bit. I left the paint curdling, and I decided to create a weathered can. So that's what this is. This is a cool weathered G.I. Joe Adventure Team Vehicle Turbo Diesel can. So sometimes you get lemons, you make lemonade. So I think it looks really cool weathered. The damaged paint makes it look awesome as well. So I also took a fuel drum and weathered it to go with it. So it'll be like a 2-pack of weather to use fuel drums. So this stuff here will be the last items that I make for 2021 as far as fuel cans, boxes, and other items. I don't plan on doing anything else the rest of the year. Like I've mentioned before, I'm going to focus on making mummies and creatures. I know I don't see a lot of cool cryptids like Bigfoots and Yetis and other things out there for sale for people's G.I. Joe dioramas and displays and photo shoots. So I feel like I could make some that people would be willing to pay for. If you liked my Yeti, I think my Yeti turned out great. But I was going to make some stuff in the similar style to that. My goal actually is to create a basic head sculpt for like a Sasquatch and a Yeti out of polyclay, mold it in silicone, and then cast it, and then make bodies and just put the same head on everything and decorate it or detail it differently with different fur, different hands, different feet, whatnot. So that's kind of what I'm going to go for. After my plan was to get all this done by the end of May, which I did. That's part of the reason why I took off a month from doing videos, so I can finish this stuff and get it out there for sale, and probably use the money I make off this to buy some product to do those cryptid creatures. And I'd like to have those maybe this fall, but we'll see. I don't know. Just time's a really weird thing for me right now. So, as the stuff opens back up, it's hard for me to get the free time that I would really like to have. But I am going to be doing some creatures, so I will be sharing those with you as I progress on those. But this is it for all my G.I. Joe gear. As far as selling it, like I said, I'm still working it out. I'm leaning towards eBay again. I hate that, but there's really no other feasible way for me to do that other than eBay right now. I don't want to do Etsy because I don't want to create my own Etsy store or shop front, because I really don't make enough stuff to really make it worth my while. I just make these when I can and share these with people. I create them only because I think they're cool, and I think people would like to have them in their collection. I definitely don't do this for the money. And as you'll see with the tutorial on the fuel drum, I don't really make a lot off all this stuff considering the amount of time and effort I put into it. So anyways, these things are done. So I'll post a small video when I figure out what I'm going to do with them and let you guys know what's going on with these if you're interested in buying them. So that's that. Okay, so you're wondering why I'm showing you some cardboard. Well, I'm starting props for my next photo story. And I will tell you what this is going to be. I'm building a UFO. I've got it all designed. It's going to be pretty cool. I think this photo story is going to be pretty cool. I've got 2 I'm writing right now, so be on the lookout for this as well. I don't know if I'll do a video on how I'm making this. I just might do like a progression video like I did with my Yeti. So that's what's going on with this cardboard in case anybody was wondering. Okay, we're almost done. I wanted to share some books. So Boom Studios and I go back over a decade, maybe longer. Cool publishing company, but they came up with this cool comic book they did with Keanu Reeves called Berserker. At least that's how I pronounce it. This is a really cool comic. It's sort of like John Wick meets Immortal People meets extreme violence meets cool art. I've got the first 2 issues and I really enjoy it. It's definitely in the vein of Keanu Reeves. Just a lot of killing. But I enjoy the comic. So if you're interested in something like this, definitely give this a check out. All right. So, I've been getting the Star Wars High Republic comic from Marvel. And let me tell you, it's garbage. I don't enjoy Marvel's take on the pre-Skywalker saga stories so far. This is definitely not anywhere near as good as the Dark Horse comic series chronicling the galaxy prior to the Skywalker saga. I don't even like the direction Disney's taken Star Wars, to be honest with you. Other than The Mandalorian, it's really been subpar. I have no idea what they're trying. It seems like they're trying too hard to fit all these things into all these different boxes rather than just making really cool stories. And these comics, this one in particular, is just garbage. I don't like it. I'm going to give it a try for 10 issues. But after that, I'm pretty sure I'm just going to forget about it and hope that the movies that they base on this don't suck. But I'm kind of feeling they probably will. If you read a lot of stuff on the internet, you can't ever believe anything, but you know that there is some internal turmoil at Disney and Lucasfilm right now, and I don't know, man. Not to get all crazy, but I just think they've lost their direction on the Star Wars universe, and they're trying too hard to make Star Wars something that it's not. And this comic is definitely a reflection of that, so I won't say any more about it. However, The War of the Bounty Hunters is pretty good. So if you're not familiar with this story, basically when when Boba Fett leaves Cloud City with Han Solo in the cargo hold of Slave One, this is the story of what happens between that time and when he arrives on Tatooine to drop Han's frozen body off to Jabba. It's pretty cool. There was a similar story that Dark Horse did with this similar storyline. I don't think it was a comic series. It's been so long since I've read my Dark Horse comics, but I think it involved IG-88 attacking Boba Fett and trying to steal Han Solo from him on Slave One. But that was a long time ago. That was the Dark Horse stuff, which has been canoned as Legends now. But this is a pretty good story so far. I've enjoyed it. I've got the first issue, and hopefully they continue to be solid storylines. So there's 3 comics. Definitely check out 2 of them. Use the other one as toilet paper. All right, guys. That pretty much wraps up What's in the Shop number 26. Before I go, I want to talk about a few things that have been on my mind here. First off, if you're friends with me on Facebook, and if you're a follower of the Skunkworks G.I. Joe Custom page, you know that I deleted my Facebook page. When I came back to Facebook after a tumultuous 2020, it was never my intention to stay on Facebook. I just reactivated my account to kind of help my YouTube channel and to kind of build a little more of a following. I never intended on staying on Facebook, and thankfully Facebook gave me no reason to stay on there. If you're a friend of mine on Facebook and you know who I am, you know that I love comedy. I like to share funny memes. Sometimes they're a little dark, but Facebook took it upon themselves to go back through a lot of my memes I shared over the last 5 years and flag a bunch of them for inappropriate content. And they locked up my page. a few times, suspended my account, and I don't think that's right. I'm not a big fan of censorship. I don't care what your political leanings are. I just don't think it's right for platforms to do that to people when they don't know the context of things, and Facebook has been particularly guilty of that lately. Case in point, if you follow Cotswold Collectibles and you get their newsletter, you know that they recently posted that Facebook suspended their account because they were showing essentially dragon model figures of German and Nazi troops that are obviously for sale on all different toy sites. I know a lot of people collect World War II memorabilia and World War II style figures, and unfortunately for people out there, some of that stuff's Nazi stuff. It's part of history, and some of it's, you know, it just is what it is. But unfortunately, Facebook got their content that they shared. Again, they're a business. They got it flagged and suspended. So I really, my heart goes out to you, Greg. I know you guys have no ill will intentions by posting that stuff. It's just, it is what it is. And I've essentially had enough of Facebook shit. So I deleted my page, and I'm just going to stick with Instagram, which I know they're owned by Facebook, and my YouTube channel. So that's all I have to say about that. I'm moving on. I enjoy doing YouTube, and I enjoy my Instagram page. There's not a lot of drama on either of them. So, but Facebook, you know, I've outgrown it. Let's see. I noticed Elite Action Joe had their Joe Room, which is really, really cool. I envy you guys. Such a cool thing that you guys are doing. I appreciate all the people getting into the hobby, and I appreciate following all these guys' pages and seeing what they come up with, because it's inspiring me to try to do more here as well. So G.I. Joe The Lost Chronicles continues to make cool photo stories. Check them out as well. And there's just there's a myriad of other sites on here that are just driving the hobby, and I think the hobby's getting more popular, and I think we need to work together as a community to keep it growing. Definitely check out the Devil's Workshop if you're into latex masks. The guy that made my shrunken head, he's doing a joint project with the Art of Skinner. If you're not familiar with the Art of Skinner, he's an artist. He's done covers for rock bands like Mastodon. He actually did a really cool video for High on Fire, one of my favorite bands, called The Black Plot. I'll share the video in my description if you're not familiar with him, but they have a joint project called Rock Bottom Novelties where they make really cool latex masks and gloves. So I'll share those as well in the description. It's worth checking out if you're into monster masks and stuff like that. Other than that, I appreciate all the feedback and support. Thanks for watching The Footsteps of Giants. I really enjoyed that photo story. It came together on a whim one night, just laying in bed, thinking of how I was going to progress a storyline using the shrunken head and the mummy. And it all came together. The stone heads were from my mom's garden. She gave them to me, and I managed to make it all work somehow, and I think it all flowed together. I know there was some sound issues in there, and I apologize for those. I'm a little bit picky on stuff like that, but the story flowed, and I got a lot of positive feedback. Other than that, guys, we're in June. Everything's opening back up. Summer's here. I have 2 cool photo stories I'm trying to work on and get going. And I'm continuing to try to produce cool customs. I've got a Bullet Man video coming. I've got some other really cool tutorials for you guys in the future. So until next time, I appreciate everything you guys are doing out there, and cheers.